And bang, we are live.
Bang. To quote Monty, we are live. Welcome back, folks. I am Jon Najarian. Monty and CJ are standing by and willing to take some questions, by the way, if you guys ever want to. You probably understand how it works. You can shoot questions into us, and we'd be happy to answer some of those. I'll start off with not a question, guys, but with, I think we got at least a little bit of an answer yesterday as to would we see a pause in the surge of some of these currencies and perhaps stocks into the Coinbase IPO or direct listing, sorry. And I think we did. I mean, I saw Riot, MicroStrategy, Can, which is like a chip maker in China for miners, and those kinds of stocks, Riot Blockchain, all down about 8 to 10% right after a strong opening. Almost all of them opened higher and then just whack, were hit. And that isn't that doesn't prove my buy rumor, sell news theory, but it sure sort of felt like that yesterday. And they're hanging in there, as Monty said earlier today, rather than getting clocked again. And it's not really a 2-day thing. It's more of a that you kind of break the fever when you finally get the direct listing or the IPO. And I think we sort of did that in some of those names, and we'll keep our eye on those. But man, there's a whole bunch of others that are still chugging higher, especially in the altcoin space, guys.
Yeah, John, absolutely. And yeah, you were spot on with calling that interim top yesterday with the Coinbase listing. And, it makes a lot of sense when you take into consideration the sort of moves we saw some institutions make. CJ made a great point yesterday talking about how, Coinbase opens up a new avenue of exposure for a lot of these institutions. So it makes sense that Kathy Wood and ARK Invest are interested in Coinbase because, as it stands right now, their exposure is somewhat limited to, the mining sector of crypto. And it also makes sense that we saw a top when yesterday on the listing, because I saw on our Market Rebellion Twitter that ARK Invest sold shares of Tesla in order to get into Coinbase. And, I think that is indicative of, a lot of people making the same moves out of crypto assets, out of traditional equity assets, out of particularly assets related to cryptocurrency that are traded on the traditional markets. Those saw the hardest profit taking in order for people to allocate some capital towards the coin listing. So really interesting day. And yeah, John, I think you were spot on with kind of that interim top that we saw here for Bitcoin.
Bitcoin, I guess yesterday, guys, topped the British pound. When it topped 64,000, it actually jumped above the total valuation of the pound sterling as Bitcoin surged in its trillion plus surge. It's just an amazing thing to see. And CJ, you were saying, the first fiat currency, the first one that wasn't just, Spain was trading gold coins, so was France, and all of a sudden the Brits came up with paper money and people actually used it. But now Bitcoin's bigger than that pound sterling.
Yeah, an incredible milestone, really incredible. One thing that was really interesting, CJ, and that you brought to our attention, and I'm excited to kind of play this game with our audience today because it should be interesting. John mentioned a lot of assets were still showing strength in the cryptocurrency sector, and that was very true. But it was limited to a particular, ecosystem within the crypto sector. And CJ, you sent me this chart, which we were referring to as a mystery chart. And it is a very bullish mystery chart. So you want to talk to us about this real quick and, just give some context?
Well, I'll give the viewers a chance to put in what they think the potential chart was, but to give some clues, let me just start by naming some statistics. Uniswap up 10% today, Aave up over 10% today, Band Protocol up over 27% today, Compound over 14%, Maker over 33%, and Yearn Finance over 14% today. So that is the DeFi perpetual index from FTX that you're looking at. DeFi, it's crazy to think that this is not just one altcoin chart that you're looking at. You're looking at a synthesis of all of the DeFi assets in crypto, and it really shows how they've just been ripping over the past couple of days here throughout the next few weeks here. So it's been a very, very interesting run for DeFi, and it's very impressive, in my opinion, that we're actually seeing this rally in spite of how we've been referring to it, I guess, like the cannibalization of the Coinbase direct listing. People setting aside money from Bitcoin or Bitcoin-related stocks to participate in Coinbase.
Well, I tell you, I know you guys have had a number of big winners lately, and I just wanted to tell the audience about a couple. I mean, like, for instance, VeChain, symbol VET. Can't remember if that was you, Monty, or CJ, but when you said it, it was 9 cents. I bought it. It is now 18.5 cents. And, that's a pretty quick move. Doge has gone from 0.057 to 0.131. I think it did 14 yesterday, didn't it, guys?
Yeah.
I think, but nonetheless, it's 2.5 times where it started. Uniswap, $23.82 was the entry. It's 38.76 now. You're hard pressed. Engine, 227. I bought Engine. I can't remember again if that was CJ or Monty, but
that was Monty. That was a
nice. 227 entry. It's now 311. So I mean, man, is there some nice what do we call it? Alpha outperformance in that list.
Very nice, very nice. And CJ, I want to quickly go back to this DeFi perpetual chart that you brought up, because one thing that we harp on a lot is that the money doesn't necessarily move around the cryptocurrency space randomly, right? There's different sectors in cryptocurrency, different market caps amongst the coins that tend to kind of direct the focus of the general audience that's investing in the market at any given time. So you can use this DeFi perpetual index to really kind of get a gauge of where the interest is headed. And this, in confluence with the Bitcoin dominance index, really gives you kind of a good idea of where the market is headed. And it's one thing I look at in particular, especially when I'm considering my doges of the day. Kind of, you can see that DeFi is popping today. So maybe you look through the DeFi assets, find one that has yet to make a move, because there's clearly a lot of speculation going on here. So I think that, using these metrics can really open you up to some promising investment opportunities.
Yeah. Well, like I say, the future looks bright for this. Cathie Woods, as you guys already said, the Coinbase IPO had that big, was supposed to open around, or the indicative price set the night before was 250. Immediately it was 300. None of these traded, not 300, not 320. It eventually traded 381 was the opening price, right around the time of our show, late in the show yesterday on the halftime. And then surged to about 429. Cathie Woods put a lot of money to work, $250 million worth to work, buying in for ARK in her various mutual funds, ETFs. And, it's continuing today to be a focus stock. And yet I still hear so many people that don't really get the difference between CME Group and Coinbase. CME Group does not get to lend. They don't get to, lend out Bitcoin or any of the 50 other currencies that Coinbase does. They certainly aren't both a broker and an exchange, but Coinbase is. They decide what's going to be listed on their exchange, which ones meet their standards, and then you open a Coinbase account, your money's there. They're a broker. I mean, so they're a broker, they're an exchange, they're the the sort of like in Wall Street, the middleman that does the securities lending. Yeah, sure, we're borrowing it from Citigroup, but there's usually somebody in there that's, securing that borrow for the person that wants to short it or whatever. And Coinbase right now, 325, it's down about 1%. It was up about 5%. I think Kathy Woods is right, but I think she's early because I don't think the story is understood enough yet, guys.
You make a good point with people trying to compare Coinbase to various other exchanges. I don't see it as an exchange per se. I see it more as a bank of the future. They're going to have debit cards. I think they already do have debit cards. And then, you have the Coinbase app, which is really easy to use, very user friendly. But then you have the Coinbase Pro, which is more suited and tailored to like experienced traders. So I think a bank, like you said, John, is probably a better analogy. But with that said, shall we get to the doges of the day, gentlemen?
It's getting harder and harder, man. Although, the good news is that for me anyway, guys, I respect technical analysis. I like stock to flow and a whole bunch of other ways of valuing and or projecting where assets might go. But I'm really a volume guy. When you're talking volume, you're speaking my language. And that's what I like to see is volume surges. So I'll let you guys go first, and then I'll throw up my doge of the day.
Alrighty. Well, I got one that, kind of ties in with what CJ was talking about and that boom we're seeing in DeFi this morning. And that is KNC, Kyber Network. And, you'd be hard pressed if you went on the actual DeFi perpetual index and you wanted to find KNC and its contribution to the DeFi perpetual index. It is way down the list. This is still an asset with a very low market cap. It is tradable on Voyager, and full disclosure, I do hold some KNC and I plan to continue to hold it. But what's appealing to me right now is a couple of things. First and foremost, the macro environment of DeFi. Like CJ pointed out, there's tons of speculation flooding into DeFi right now. It's kind of I think it's going to be one of the main benefactors of retail speculation over the next few months. Bitcoin already has kind of made a big move, and when it makes a big move, you tend to get these bubbles of like speculation. We saw it with NFTs a little bit ago, like last month. I think this month, a big one and a long-lasting, disruptive element of crypto will be DeFi. And if you look at KNC, it kind of hasn't really made the move yet this morning that a lot of the other assets had. And going back to what AJ Monty was preaching to us in our crossover episode, we're starting to cross over the simple moving average. And for me, that's a very bullish indication going forward. That in combination with the just incredible amount of speculation we're seeing in DeFi leads me to believe that KNC is gonna, have a very good weekend and make some strong moves. The last point I'll make is, two things that we often compare KNC to are Uni and Sushi, other decentralized exchanges. And as CJ mentioned earlier in the show, both of them, Uni's up about 12% today, Sushi's up 10%. So, Kyber, I think that move is coming up for Kyber. So that is my doge of the day today.
I'm honestly, we've been talking about KNC for a while. I'm still so surprised that it hasn't performed like its counterparts, Sushi and Uni, relative to the amount of decentralized exchange volume that it actually does compared to its twins. Mm-hmm. But I think it'll catch up, and I like that pick, Monty.
Thank you, CJ. What do you got for us today?
Well, I want to follow up on the doge of the day from yesterday, which is just Aave. That's been in the DeFi realm. That was a volume pick straight up. We saw an early surge yesterday, and price continues to go up. I think it was about 12 or 13% today. It is running into a little bit of resistance. So I have to watch for those critical levels. But my pick of the day today, and this is not necessarily a volume pick, this is something that I'm a little bit more patient on and might have to wait before we get a break above critical levels. But that one's going to be Mana, Decentraland. I like when we used to talk about like Mana and Engine. They had a tremendous run. Now they're both kind of just in they're giving some back to the market. They're in a bullish to neutral consolidation, but I really like the potential bull flag that is forming on Mana. I think there's going to be continued interest around this as the NFT space continues to grow with the bull market. And I think once we can break out above that critical level at around $1.20, I think we're very, very high probability of testing 170 or potentially $2. So Mana is going to be my pick and my watch for the next week.
All right. And I'm going to follow up with our sushi trade from the other day, guys, because we saw some surge in volume in sushi. I can't remember, I was just thinking to myself during the show, we should put up sort of a list of our doges. And, then when we take them off, because I'm taking off sushi here, when we take them off, we can put a line through it and say, okay, we recommend, we made sushi our doge of the day when it was $14.50 or whatever it was. And today it's $18. I don't remember if that was last week, guys, late last week on Friday, but it's certainly not more than a few days ago. That's how fast that move has been. But I'm taking it off here now. I'm completely out. Not that it doesn't still thrill me, but I like reloading and getting back in, especially on pullbacks. It's what I always tell everybody. You guys are far more expert at digital than I am. But when people ask me, well, Doc, now that it's 63,000, what should I do? And I say, buy one Bitcoin. Don't have to buy a whole one. You can buy $5,000 worth, but just get your foot in there and buy one on dips. And on dips, add to it. For me, that's been great advice. It gets kind of newbies used to how we think and how we trade, if you're going to trade it, or if you're just going to accumulate it and you want to be one of those folks that when it finally goes to 1 million, you're not looking back saying, damn, I can't believe I didn't buy any of it. That's why I do it that way. Because for all the people that didn't listen to Matt and CJ when it was $200, $5,000, $15,000, $30,000, just because it's 63,000 now, it's just a number. You just start scaling in a little, get used to it, and then all of a sudden you'll say, okay, I know what it feels like when it goes from 55 to 63, it feels great. When it pulls back to 57, I buy a little more. And then next thing you know, it's 57, 58, 59. You get the idea. So I think, working your way into some of these trades and or some of these investments is the best way to go. My trade of the day today, guys, Polkadot again. And I'm going to reload in Polkadot because of volume. So that's it for me today.
Very, very short and concise, John. I like it. Shows your conviction in the trade. And, I was contemplating using DOT as my doge of the day today as well for a very similar reason. The AJ Monty trading strategy, it just crossed above a simple moving average. And, I think that sets it up for a good weekend. So I like that pick a lot.
I agree. Keep in mind, folks, you can join CJ and Monty in the trading room, complete with charts, all kinds of great information throughout the day, 24/7, for $1 for your first month. That's all it'll cost you is $1. And if you like it, you can renew for $29. We say all of that up front because this is not a bait and switch. We want to give you guys a shot to try it. And then if it is something that you find valuable, I'm sure it'll be just as valuable to you as it is to the thousands of people that depend on it. So thank you. Thank Voyager for all the love and for the sponsorship. Remember, you can trade 50 plus currencies there for free. And they'll even pay you for deposited crypto there. They'll pay you up to 8.5%, depending on the currency we're talking about. So check out sponsor of the show, Voyager. Thank you, folks.
Speaking of DOT, 8% on Voyager. Can't beat it. So,
yeah. You buy some DOT today, you leave it on Voyager, and they're paying you 8% interest. What's wrong with that?
Can't beat that. But with that, we will leave it there. And thank you guys for watching. We will see you all tomorrow.
Thank you.